Well, it was anything but a good week for President Biden. Instead, it was one of the best summarized as forgetful. So let's take a look. Let's remember, if you will, what happened this week. On Sunday, President Biden mixed up French leaders. He referenced a leader who had died some years ago, Francois Mitterrand, and told a story that he was actually talking to Emmanuel Macron. Just a slip up of a few decades in that case. On Tuesday, it was revealed 76% of voters are very concerned about Biden's health. That same day, he seemed to have forgotten Hamas and referred to them as the opposition, he was then reminded. Then Wednesday, he referred to the late German Chancellor Helmut Kohl instead of Angela Merkel. Second time in as many days that he mixes up former leader with current leader. And to make it a even three, I guess, on Thursday, he again did it, and this time talked about the Egyptian leader as the president of Mexico, El Sisi as the president of Mexico. But that was sort of the icing. That was the cherry on top of what was an awful day when it came to his mental faculties, was, of course, the special counsel said Biden's memory was hazy, faulty, and poor. So bad, in fact, that he couldn't charge him for willfully mishandling classified documents. Listen to this.
The president of Mexico, El Sisi, did not want to open up the gate to allow humanitarian material to get in.
All right, here now with reaction is columnist for The Messenger and Fox News contributor Joe Concha. Man, Joe, this couldn't have gone worse. If you made a gift to President Trump, this is the nicest gift he could have received for Valentine's.
Well, in a presidency where almost every week is a bad week, you can make the argument that this was Joe Biden's worst week, at least since the Afghan withdrawal. You went through all of those examples. They're all self-inflicted. He's not a victim of circumstance in these situations. And the one thing that he has to overcome to win re-election, most voters, you see 76%, they're worried about his mental and physical state. He has to overcome this perception that he could still do this job for another 5 years. And that's what we're talking about here, about another 5. We go all the way out to 2029 before he leaves office. So all of that said, once this impression is made, how do you reverse it? And then as we go towards the election, is he going to be like a fine wine and get better? Or will he be like cottage cheese and get worse? We appear to be in the cottage cheese stage at this point.
So, Joe, I think I saw a video on another network where a voter said that even if Joe Biden died, they would vote for his dead body over President Trump.
Yeah.
The point there is, look, we talk a lot about issues, and I think it's important to talk about issues, but I think a lot of voters simply vote upon personality. And when it comes to Donald Trump, some people have made up their mind they will not change it, regardless of who the opposition is, dead or alive. But what I'm wondering is, this is huge. This swings casual voters. When you talk to people, they're going to talk to you about maybe the economy, maybe foreign policy, but definitely the President of the United States can't be mentally incapable. I think this is the single biggest issue, if there is one, that swings an election.
Sure, there's two parts to this, right? There are the policies in terms of inflation, and people are still paying too much for food and gas and rent and heating. And then there's the border, obviously, which I think is a #1 issue, and we're seeing it in exit polls at this point. The bottom line is that elections come down to the following 7 states: Georgia, Arizona, Nevada, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, and Michigan. Throw in another state if you like. I think Ohio and Florida are gone. They're already red. The point is that in those states, Joe Biden won by such slim margins in 2020. He has no margin for error now. He can't lose 10 or 20,000 voters in Wisconsin, Arizona, or Georgia or Nevada. If he does, Donald Trump is your next president. And then, again, in terms of the mental state, you see the media still defending this somehow. Rachel Maddow, who's a top-rated host on another network, said, well, look, he could ride a bike. See, he's fit. It's like, no, my 4-year-old can operate a Schwinn. It doesn't mean that this person has the mental state to be the commander-in-chief of the United States. The question and the problem for Democrats now, Will, is how do you backfill Joe Biden if he decides that he can't do this job for another 5 years?
Do you think he'll be the nominee?
I don't think so at this point. But I don't know how to answer the question. If the quarterback's bad, who's the great Steve Young backup who's going to come in for Joe Montana? Not comparing Joe Biden to Joe Montana, of course. Kamala Harris is currently at 28% approval. It's even lower than Joe Biden. So you got to look to a Newsom or a Whitmer or something. But it's getting late early around here, and I don't know how you switch this.
Yeah.
And if you do it at the convention, by the way, you're basically telling every voter out there, you don't count. We're installing somebody down. That's not going to be received very well.
Yeah.
I'm Steve Ducey.
I'm Brian Kilmeade.
And I'm Ainsley Earhart. And click here to subscribe to the Fox News YouTube page to catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis.